Good afternoon. My name is Ashley, and I would like to say Ida Beña, which means hello in Garifuna, when I started this in Spanish, and hello in English. To tell my story, which goes hand in hand with my parents' story, I want to start with a question I've asked myself for most of my life. Who am I? I am a first generation American. My father's from St. John, Jamaica, and my mother's from Tirifo de la Cruz, Honduras. I was born here in the United States, raised in Brooklyn, New York, and later migrated to Texas. Growing up, my identity felt like a puzzle, but no one ever gave me the picture on the box. At home, my world sounded like music, accents, and languages mixed together. My parents shared stories about what life was like growing up in their home countries. The diversity of food, music, clothing, and languages and tradition created a sense of peace for me. Everything was loud, colorful, and full of stories. But once I stepped outside of my house, things were different. I was different. Suddenly, my identity wasn't celebrated, it was examined. If I were asked to describe my story in just one word, I couldn't do it. My story is way more than one word. In those moments, I learned how uncomfortable diversity can be for people who have never lived it. And suddenly, I felt like I had to pick a side. For a long time, I thought joy meant fitting in. All I wanted was to be like everyone else. So I started choosing which parts of myself to share and which parts of myself to hide. I blended in. I became quieter about who I was. I didn't correct people when they assumed I only knew two languages. I left out my Garifuna heritage. No one knew what it was, and I worried they would think it was weird. That pressure, that feeling of not fully belonging anywhere, took a toll on my mental health. I felt like I was constantly translating myself, explaining my family. My mother's from Honduras, my father's from Jamaica, explaining my culture. I speak English, Spanish, Patois, explaining family holidays like Garifuna Settlement Day and Emancipation Day, days that celebrate freedom, survival, and resistance, explaining why I was different. And sometimes I wondered if being different was a problem. I realized that people often love a smaller version of yourself, your half truth. And in trying to be accepted, it's easy to become a people pleaser and slowly diminish your own light. But that's the beauty of letting go and embracing your culture and your diversity. As I got older, I realized my identity wasn't something broken that needed fixing, it was something layered. It was complex and it was powerful. When I stopped hiding my cultures and began leaning into them, healing began. I found comfort in who I am and who I was becoming. My family reminded me that I come from people who have survived colonization, slavery, and migration. People who crossed oceans, built communities from nothing, and still found ways to create joy. That is Black history. Through all of this, I learned something important. Joy is not accidental, it's intentional. For me, joy is honoring my ancestors while choosing my own path. Joy is understanding that being first generation comes with pressure, but also with purpose. Joy is realizing I don't have to choose between being Jamaican, Honduran, or American. I get to be all of it. Black History Month reminds us that identity has never been simple, especially within the Black diaspora. But our history is movement, migration, blending cultures, and creating beauty in unfamiliar places. So when we ask ourselves the essential question, how does understanding who we are and where we come from help us build a healthier, more joyful life? My answer is this: when you know your roots and you stop shrinking yourself, you understand your story, you stop apologizing for it. And when you honor where you come from, you give yourself permission to thrive. My joy came when I realized I am not divided, I am connected across borders, across cultures, and across generations. That is my blueprint for joy. And that is my Aldine Black history beyond the classroom.